The union put on the record that you made comments of complaints against the person that's before us today, and that you weren't able to bring anything in writing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why you would do that and then not be able to back it up?
Look, I'd like to flesh it out a little bit. When we said that there was other complaints, the complaints that were coming across, and Dan can speak to a little bit of it, but what we had and what we were dealing with was what Linda was complaining about Michelle.
You guys didn't do anything to her for hitting me on the 29th.
The 29th.
September 29th, when she plowed into me, when she tried to knock me down. The girl that weighs 60 pounds more than me, half a foot taller than me.
Injury reported. We know what happened. It's on record. We have it. We know what happened. Michelle, I'll be honest, there was a lot of people interviewed, and
My two people that witnessed it, the only two people that witnessed it. A lot of people interviewed. Who else got interviewed?
well, that's like, well, Linda was asked, you were asked, whoever you
Linda
listed
lies.
Okay, but see, the interesting thing is, Michelle, it seems like your
How did I get
witnesses
fired?
always corroborate your story, and then Linda's is always the complete opposite. So how do
Second paragraph, when it says Linda continued to violate the anti-harassment policy, that paragraph there were no documented violations of the policy for Linda.
Michelle, I'm just trying to tell you that I don't want you to think that people
I'd like-
weren't talked and discussed about it. But, it was brought up and then it was never really heard from again.
What about the 2 weeks later when she hit Sandy?
Same thing happened.
Oh yeah, it didn't happen.
No, I didn't say
Did
that.
she hit you the other
I
day
didn't
out
say
when she
didn't happen.
parked or anything?
She has made my life hell ever since, with accusations of violence and stalking. She even enlisted Sandy Pierce to help her. That was the shoulder bumping so bad that they both claimed they had pain in their arm, never saw a doctor. They did it within 2 or 3 days of each other. One day, one about 3 days later.
Well, why you? Help me understand why you.
Because Sandy Pierce.
Well, hold on a second.
Yes.
I mean, it's
That's the whole question.
Oh, okay,
it's
I'm
more
sorry.
than apparently this Michelle lady. There are others. Why you? Why? I mean, I've listened to what you have to say, and I mean, you seem like a decent person, but why is all this coming against you?
Well, when I first came to Smalls, it wasn't an issue when my numbers were bad. The issue started when I started to get better at what I was doing. Then all of a sudden, there was the Sandy issues with the constant going to the office and complaining about one thing or another that I did. And I was made aware of it a couple times. And
Who is Sandy Peak?
Pierce.
Sandy Pierce is another employee in the small sort area that's had problems in this situation over the past year or so, but she has since corrected her behavior.
Well, again, why? Well, maybe you answered the question. The reason that they're taking shots at you is because of your numbers, you work hard, they don't like that?
Yes, you've got to understand that's very rare in Smalls, I was told. And
I've been with UPS for 30 years.
Yeah.
Full-time,
Yes.
part-time operations.
I work very hard, and I keep my numbers up there, and it's consistent. And I was told that that's possibly, because I myself wondered why me, and even Dan Kelly suggested the fact it may be jealousy, because I am a hard worker, and I keep my numbers consistent.
Any problem.
Yes.
I'm just trying to understand, because in my opinion, your statement was a reason why you were here, which was all these women, the way you work, but that first paragraph says something different to me. So I'm just trying to understand why you think you're really here.
It just, I guess I have worked really hard to try to figure this out. Why am I fired? Because I understood, Dan Kelly stood up for me. I have had other people stand up for me, and I'm trying to understand. They have no proof of alleged violence, and yet I'm fired merely because a couple of girls wrote violence on paper. So I guess, I recently tried to go to a company doctor here, so I'm trying to, I don't know. Is it all this combined? I don't know. I wish somebody would tell me. These girls have been complaining about me for a year. Violence. And yet I still kept my job because people believed in me. They have been trying to cry violence before, and no one believed them. For the last 2 years, I've dealt with Sandy Pierce.
I'll tell you where I'm at, Michelle. I personally you know, this shit she's doing, if it was me, I would just blow it off.
Honey, I can't blow it off. It's
get that.
it's really easy for you to say.
He was upset, and he pointed his finger at Sandy and made her aware of the fact that I could file official harassment against her. She could possibly lose her job. After that, she backed off. And even Dan Kelly suggested the fact it may be jealousy.
The meeting scheduled for today with Human Resources, and it's my obligation to provide a safe work environment for everybody.
She was getting to me, that's threatening, because I decided enough is enough and filed official harassment papers against Michelle and Sandy. And Sandy was included in my harassment because she went and filed a paper along with Michelle that I have been violent towards her, only after Michelle did. I wish someone would tell me why, after months of them complaining about me and alleged violence, why I wasn't fired or either of them, only now after I officially complained. And complained constantly. Linda's taken too many envelopes, and envelopes are lighter, they help your numbers. Michelle, they even at one time wanted to take the computers out of small, these two girls, because they didn't want me looking at it, because my numbers were above everybody else's. Dan Kelly said that would not happen. They've even tried shutting the computer off. All I have to do is turn it back on. Michelle, I thought everything was over with then. Michelle started having issues with me when my numbers surpassed hers, and then was constant complaining on her part that I was taking too many envelopes. Envelopes. This is all about envelopes. And I would like to ask a question. Usually when somebody bullies another person, you ask why. Usually it's because they have a low self-esteem, there's an agenda, something. Why would I bully them? Why would I care about them? That's the question I have, because their numbers aren't good. Sandy's nor Michelle's. They only choose when they want to be good to be good. I do that all the time. It's my work ethic. It's always been my work ethic to do the best job I can while I'm at work. I want to give you the definition of bullying. To coerce by threats, intimidation. A person who is habitually overbearing. That would be Sandy and Michelle both. Repeated verbal, social, or psychological behavior that is harmful and involves misuse of power by an individual towards one or more persons and can have long-term effects in the workplace or school or wherever it's at. This don't just happen in schools. This happens in a workplace. And I am not the only one. I have talked to other girls that have been intimidated by these two.
There was the Sandy issues. For the last 2 years, I've dealt with Sandy Pierce. Sandy's nor Michelle's. Because Sandy Pierce and filed official harassment papers against Michelle and Sandy. And Sandy was included in my harassment.
Sandy Pierce, who has the same agenda.
Sandy Pierce proved that she will stop at nothing. And Sandy Pierce. That would be Sandy and Michelle both. Over the last 2 years, I have suffered with Sandy Pierce.
Or Sandy Pierce is a regular employee at UPS?
Yes, she is.
She never is.
Okay.
Hold on right there. Now, Dan told us that this Sandy lady is backed off.
I had already been informed months before that, after complaining about what's going on down there, to just come to work, clock in, keep my mouth shut, do my job, clock out. I said nothing. Nobody did anything about her losing her temper, calling me a bitch, so when I had the chance, I went up in the office to complain. Next thing I know, we were both temporarily fired until further investigation and escorted out. The most embarrassing moment in my life. I have never been fired from any job in my life because I've always been an exemplary employee.